I have a reputation for being good with busy boys. Send him to McClintock, she can handle it. All right, so, and it's usually something where people say, this is a problem child, this is a red flag, this kid can't sit still, this kid, and it's usually a boy. And they're in my classroom, and it's like, I don't get it. Where's the problem? The kid's fine in here. So, and I think part of my skills come from, I have a son who's busy. I don't think he's a major handful, but he's busy, and he was busy in school. And when he was in second grade, he got in trouble quite a bit. Had to keep flipping his card, and if he made eye contact with one kid, they would start laughing and couldn't control themselves. So when he had to flip his card, I don't know how many times, I went down to the school and I spoke with his first grade teacher from the year before. And I was so concerned because this other second grade teacher was saying he was such a handful. And she was the person who looked at me and said, he's a boy. He's just a boy. He's fine. Don't worry about it. So I think she was the one who initially put that thought in my head, and I've carried that through in my teaching as well when I deal with boys. I had a student last year who was diagnosed as autistic, had the police out multiple times the year before. Got to the point where the vice principal, every time they were called, he would have a fit, he would throw his shoes. The vice principal came out with a blanket because he was stripping his clothes off. Just everybody knew this kid at school. And so they came to me at the end of the year and they said, you're gonna have him next year. I said, okay, fine. So I got all the information. And he actually did really well in my class. But he had his fits and his moments. But one thing that I learned with him and a few other kids who, I don't know that they were autistic, they had anger issues where certain triggers that would make them angry and then they'd go over the edge. Class got really good at reading him, and then they had learned the year before too that if he was throwing a fit, they learned to back away and get away from him because he would throw things or do things. And I remember one time we were in the library and he went up to check out a book and he hadn't turned in his other books. And so the librarian let him know, you can't check out these books because you didn't turn your other books in. And he started having a fit. And she said, well, I'm sorry, but all you have to do is return the other books. I'll hold these for you. Come in and get them tomorrow. Went over to one of the round tables and just screamed at the top of his lungs, threw himself on top of the table, was crying and screaming. And I look at him, and I look around the room, and basically all the other kids did the same thing. They just kind of looked at him, and then they just went back to what they were doing. So we all ignored him, let him have his fit, and then I just walked over. I said, so you didn't turn your library book? No. And just talked him through it, and he was calm. But I also found that it was almost like someone who's, I don't know, ADD or ADHD, that if I could do something like, look, a puppy, that he would just like stop and like, where's the puppy? So someone came over and had a question or was upset about something, and they asked me a question and they left, and I could tell he was curious because he paused a little bit. So then I just said, what should I do about her? She has that question, and what should I do? And he just kind of stopped crying and looked at me and gave me an answer. And then that was the trigger, and he kind of calmed down and diffused from there. I think of it like a migraine. If you have a migraine, if you can catch the migraine before it goes too far, and you can take your medicine and catch it before it goes too far, then you can calm it down and get it to go away. If it's gone past a certain point, there's no way. It's full blown. I learned to pay attention to the signs and the triggers with him and a few other kids. And so I could catch the migraine or catch the tantrum before it went full blown.